When people talk about language changes, they often use the words genre, register, and style. Register, according to David Crystal, is a type of language that is defined by how it is used in social situations, such as a register of scientific, religious, or formal English. He also said in Halidean linguistics, the term is seen as the opposite of language varieties that are based on characteristics of the users, such as their regional or class dialect, and is divided into field, mode, and manner of discourse. Note that genre and register often overlap and are sometimes used in the same way. Lee says that the genre is more about how culture is organized, while register is more about how situations are put together. In this way, register is thought of as different kinds of language that depend on the situation. The field mode tenor framework is important for understanding register. To give a concrete example with a genre of recipe, field may be analyzed in terms of social setting and the communicative purpose in which the text is produced. Tenor may be described by the roles that both the writer and the reader have to play and the cultural values that both share. Mode could be explained in terms of what the speakers or the listeners and the writers or the readers need to know about other texts in order to understand the genre and the formal text features. Language register means how formal a person's speech is. At different times, different registers are used. Through register, you can figure out what kind of lexicon or vocabulary to use and what kind of structure to use. You can use a formal or informal register when writing. There are even times when neutral language register can be found. The formal register is used when speaking or writing in a formal setting. In formal communication situations like a State of the Nation address, the speech is usually read from a written script in a very polished language. Since the president is the most powerful person in the country, he or she can't afford to make mistakes. On the other hand, when a priest gives his homily, he usually speaks on the spot and uses everyday language. This is because the audience is made up of people from many different walks of life. The priest should be able to get his spiritual message across to the people who are listening without making it hard for them to understand. The priest should also be able to reach deep into the hearts of the people listening to him so that they can act on what he says. The formal register can also be used in professional writing, such as project proposals, position papers, and business letters, especially when writing to a boss or to the head of an organization. It is less about the feelings and more about facts. Informal registers is more casual and should be used with people you know well, like friends and family. This kind of writing can sometimes be emotional because the writer and the reader or listener are close to each other. Earlier in the conversation, it was said that register is a type of language in which the forms used define the social situation, regardless of the status of the people speaking. So, legalese or legal language has a lot of old-fashioned words, technical jargon that is only used by lawyers, embedded structures, nominalizations, passive voice, and long sentences, which are not the characteristic of textese or language of texts. On the other hand, SMS language, also known as texties, uses opposite kinds of abbreviations, acronyms, slang words, and phrases. This is because messages used to be limited to a certain number of characters and spaces, which made texting much easier and faster, but people can misunderstand or miscommunicate through texting because they have a small vocabulary and they don't know much about the context. Because of these, text messages should be read with extra care.